Yo, what's good,
Bro,
everybody?
this shit's oh my bad. I was about to say this is just so formal, bro. Like this is exactly what I used to be watching on YouTube, bro. Like
Hey, bro, you gotta put it on the platform.
But my bad. Go ahead.
What's up, bub? What's good, everybody? It's your boy TSpoon. It's another episode of a teaspoon of wisdom with my special guest. I got my boy Neek right here.
Yo.
And I got my boy KP Nick. So this is the debate. We don't have to keep this super formal or anything like that. But it's just kind of a meeting of the minds to kind of see the differences in opinions, and I think all opinions should be heard fairly and openly, and everybody should have a window to speak.
I lost
So,
you.
can you hear me?
Oh my bad. Hold on, my bad. That's me.
Okay. I want to get right, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in and out with muting the mic, just just to keep the kids straight, because I'm on daddy duty right now. But I'm here though.
Trust me, I get it, bro. So anything that wants to be said and whatnot, and I want to say it. So hey, let's go ahead and clear the air and go ahead and get this thing started off.
That's my headphone.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, bro. Take your time.
Yeah,
So I know you texted a little bit about how you wanted things to kind of go an itinerary, but like, do you have more like a list of topics you want to go off of, or we just gonna hit current events?
I think just current events, bro, because I think it's more than enough ammunition with with the recent tariffs that Trump put into play.
Hold on, let me my bad. Let me find my charger real quick.
You
right,
good?
go ahead,
I'm just making some small talk, but yeah, like with the big Liberation Day.
Yeah, that's a big thing, bro. That was a big thing.
Yeah, historic, man. We don't realize it sometimes, but like, and I heard a video that said that a lot of times with a lot of these financial historical events, we don't realize we're in one until after it, right?
Yeah.
Like even with when the stock market did plunge, but when the real estate market crashed in 2008, I was a senior in high school actually.
Yeah.
And when everything was going haywire, I didn't realize what was going on until after that, So, I guess kind of like today, people don't realize or not feeling the effects just yet, but give it some time.
Yeah. And I think that's fair, bro, because honestly, like we've been so accustomed to operating at really at a disadvantage for so long, and I think people's objection to it is simply because that we've been operating for that way for so long,
Right?
And it's a big shakeup, and it's a big difference in vision and understanding where this thing is going. So,
Right.
As Trump, President Trump has said, several times already, kind of, buckle up and, and it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So, and I think, just keeping the scoreboard on the stock market, that's kind of a misleading factor right now, being that we were kind of, I don't want to say stagnated all the way, but the last four presidential election cycles that the Wall Street has supported the Democratic candidate. So I don't think that's a fair gauge or a fair measure of success, honestly.
Well, everything really just started. Liberation Day was literally the second. Well, we now in the fifth. Today's April the 5th. So yeah, like it hadn't really had time to really set in, and things really just started taking it. Well, it's kind of really been leading up to his inauguration. With Trump, the market's already been kind of in kind of a tailspin since then, really. But now it's blood all in the streets now in terms of the market. Since the big announcement of Liberation Day, as well as him showing the sign, the infamous sign, and him showing the country that he's going to, the tariffs that he's listed. And so, it's wild times, man. I've been watching different sorts of videos between I know we have a little bit of technical difficulties with KP, but we're gonna keep it moving. But like it's I've seen mixed videos, reviews from different financial guys that I listen to, and I've heard people who are all aboard with everything that's going on with Trump, and then I've seen a lot of people who've also kind of like been opposed to everything with Trump's been going on. So it's just been interesting to kind of watch. Give me 1 second. I got my homeboy coming. He pulling up right now, so I'm gonna open the door for him. I'm gonna do that, and we gonna. And there you go, baby girl. I'm coming right back. Give me 1 second.
Yep, take your time, brother.
I'm right here. Hello, mama.
So, I think a list of good topics on the docket. I think the illegal immigration was one. It should be one.
Oh, for sure.
Tariffs. I think between me and Nick's debate via text the other day. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't remember.
Really, 2 days. Y'all really been going at it for 48 hours.
Yeah, I think just two strong-willed men, got different opinions on certain stuff, and and which is good. But I think just understanding, the intricacies of certain, and this is what what we discussed yesterday, Nick. Like I feel like it's a multi-layered, a multifaceted, topic
discussion.
Yes, and so we got to kind of peel back the layers and stuff like that. So between the tariffs, what did I just
immigration
I think people's this is me and Conrad's podcast, and we are very pro Trump. I would be amiss to not mention him and keep him in spirit for sure. Yeah, so I definitely love my brother, and I pray for him and always. But my boy West, I wish he was here, but nonetheless,
try to close that door to keep no flies from coming in. Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think you start peeling some of these layers back, and so where do you stand at, Neek? Just to kind of get the audience a little feedback. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Nah, you good. With terms of which particular topic, because we kind of touched on 3 different ones between immigration, tariffs, and everything that's kind of been going on in general. Like, which one would you like my point of view on?
I would say we could start with the immigration, since that we started there the other day. And I sent out that video of Elon discussing the statistics and the Social Security numbers that we're kind of coming up from illegal immigration and stuff like that. So we can start there.
Yeah, for sure. So like with everything going on with immigration, dude, like, I mean, you got mixed opinions about it, right? So obviously this country, when we talk about the founding, the origins of things, how things came about, it was like this country is built off immigration. So you have the liberals who like to think or believe kind of like, oh, everything's okay. But I think right now we're kind of in a situation where we're kind of at a bottleneck, right? Like there's problems now with everything that's going on when you start talking about the taxes that we're spending in terms of trying to like legalize someone being brought in from a different country. So, things are kind of really getting a little rough. We got inflation that's at an all-time high. We got everything that's really just kind of coming to a head to where now we're starting experiencing more problems. So now it's time to address the problem. Now we got to begin to, let things kind of, quell down a little bit and try to gain some control of everything. So, I mean, you got people who split down the middle about how they feel like they should go about trying to slow things down. You got people who are just totally opposed against doing it in general. But you can't ignore it. You can't ignore the facts, dog. Like I mean, it's problems all over, bro. You got, people here that's folks that's, with Social Security, we got concerns about that, to the point where it's almost as a national security threat, right? We got folks that's being, that's not getting the adequate care that they need because of the limited sources of funding. So, immigration is all taking a pill from that. Like, it's just kind of like, hey, why not address that? Let's try to cut back on some of those things because it's costing us to have these folks kind of migrate here into this country. So you got people who got ways about trying to fix it or whatnot. I mean, like I said, I'm not privy to know all of the intricate details about how that all works, but I do know that there's something that needs to be done. So addressing the immigration is definitely something that I'm all for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, bro. I think that the overwhelming of social services that are Because I watch this stuff all the time, bro. I watch YouTube, really more than anything, because I feel like this is just a source of, especially
Right.
like with interviews or just seeing stuff firsthand. So
Mhm.
I was watching little a YouTube video. I forgot the guy's name. I want to
Mhm.
give him credit. I was just watching the video.
Mhm.
Let me see. Peter Santello,
Mhm.
Santinello. If I'm butchering his name, I apologize. But I'm sorry. Let me add it to the stage. There you go. You straight, bro? You
Yo,
good?
welcome back, Nick.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, dog.
Yes,
Like
sir.
I guess I think that was my fault because I think I accidentally just accidentally edited the volume and the camera. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, you good, bro. What was I saying? I think that
Yeah, I could hear y'all though, but go ahead. Go ahead. My bad. Go
okay,
ahead.
yeah. But just looking at Peter Sanatello's videos on the border, and it was I forgot what town it was. I think it was some town in Arizona, border town. And a lot of the times, the people who are coming over directly over, they would ditch everything that they have, their money, their currency, passports, driver's license, anything. They would throw it away, and you will find all this stuff at the border, and they would rush the border and then come over to the United States. And we don't think about this stuff, but people who pay taxes in Arizona for that county or wherever, we have to find somewhere to have shelter for these people. Um, the social service, hospitals, all this type of stuff, police, firemen, like and those services are kind of or especially hospitals are being overran by people who are seeking care who are illegal to this country, and I think that's unfair for tax-paying citizens like me and you, or just all of us, and we have to pay for this stuff. We have to you know pony up the bill for it, and
Right.
it's just something that we have to address. That's a clear problem and clear issue.
Right.
And and I've talked to people from all over the world, and I always will state that I have nothing wrong. I have no problem with people coming over, but just do it legally, because we should know where. It's like you compare it to somebody in your home. Somebody breaks in your home or whatever, and they got their feet up on your couch, and and it's like, bro, what are you doing here? Like, so I have no clue where you came from, no type of background information. Like, you're liable to get shot and killed. And
Right. Yeah.
it's very unfortunate, but it's something. It's something that we shouldn't take lightly, because you just don't let anybody walk into your house. That's just common sense.
Right.
So,
So
oh, go ahead, KB. I'm gonna let you get the floor.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like the political atmosphere right now. So the left and the right. So I feel like we both. So I identify myself as a conservative, like I told you before, over our text messages. But I think it matters where we get our information from. So I think that if you on the right leaning side, you get your information from, mostly conservatives. I think that's natural. Conservative outlets, news outlets. I feel like that's natural. Like you're gonna listen to people that mostly agree with you. I think left leaning people get their news outlets from left leaning outlets, and then I think the main thing is figuring out. I mean, well, first of all, I'm gonna say like both outlets purport news about what's going on in our country. And I think the main thing we need to be worrying about is like what is actually factual. If I give you a issue, I don't want it to be the wrong issue. I want it to be the correct issue so I can identify that issue and I can make proper the proper actions to find a solution um to correct that issue. So if I'm getting wrong information from either side, then when I'm attacking it, then they be like, from each side, if I'm on the right looking at the left and be like, why are you doing that? Like that don't make no sense. That's the wrong idea. Like, no, actually that's not the problem. That's the wrong problem. And if you're from the left side, you look at the right, you be like, no, what the hell you doing that for? That's the wrong side. What are you talking about? That's not the correct problem. So I think it's the news outlets that we use. I think is their obligation for us regular citizens to purport the factual news. Now, a lot of them, I feel like these days, social media, um, traditional cable news outlets, they are activists. I mean, I feel like a lot of them are activists. Like they're trying to turn the country, or turn they're trying to get
From the
their
inner
viewers to look at the news in a certain spin. And I feel like, I mean, for me personally, I just want objective news so I know exactly and accurately what's going on, so I can identify the problem and we can find a solution. So when I see, for instance, on the left, I see things such as, let's say, damn, I don't know. So, all right, I'll say this. I'll say this because this is recent to memory, and I'm not just picking on the right.
yeah.
But I'll say from the right, and it ties in with the immigration thing and what recently happened 2 days ago. So Elon Musk in Wisconsin, right? So so like I said, I'm not on. I'm taking a break from social media and
Right,
YouTube
right.
and stuff, so I had to couldn't watch the full video, but I watched the. I mean, I read the reports about what he was talking about, et cetera, et cetera. So I saw the chart that he put um up during his Wisconsin rally, and so I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, and y'all probably can fill in the blanks or whatever. It says 5 million. Uh, um illegals or non-citizens over, between 2021 and 2024 or 5 or whatever, have social security social security numbers. So in my head initially, before I did the research, I was like, okay, so people with automatically with social security numbers, possibly, like, can they actually uh vote? Is that a main thing? Like, people think, like, people who have social security, everybody who has a social security number can vote. Is that like a normal thing? Like, I mean, is that a not normal, but yeah, is that a normal thing that people believe, like, everybody with a social security number can vote?
I would say yes and no. I think it's gaining more traction simply because of so going back to Elon's
Mm-hmm.
first. I think it was like November 4th when he put out a podcast with him and Joe Rogan, right? So Rogan had him on,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, I think somebody like Rogan is a good source of information strictly because of his willingness to have people have conversation like this, like how we're having discussion, long
Mm-hmm.
form discussion. And that's something that you don't get from news,
Right.
right? So
Right.
Elon's position is he's stating that people have been coming over, so they're trying to apply the California method of their
Mm-hmm.
voting stat, not voting status, but voting as a whole, and how they vote. And it's really majority blue. So you got
Mm-hmm.
states that will really, you know,
Right.
never
Right.
be red or anything like that.
Right.
Anything remotely close to fair, they turn into a one party state. So
Right.
and that's his thing. He wants to. They're trying to apply that into the entire country.
Right. Right.
So which
And
is why
that's
they're importing votes.
right. And that's the gist I got of it. And I think that's what. So I went on, like I said, right leaning news outlets. That's what Fox News purports. That's what Mint. I read a website called Mint. Mint. I don't know if y'all familiar with it, but it's called livemint.com. They're conservative, and they purport that. I mean, so they paint the picture like, man, these 5 million illegals are coming in the country and they're voting how they want to vote. And of course, since they're illegals, they're going to vote for the Democratic Party because they're less um, apprehensive towards them. So I'm like, okay, I read that part. Then I read some moderate to left leaning uh uh news outlets, and then their retort to that is saying, or to Elon Musk is saying, 5 million immigrants having social security numbers isn't nothing new. So that actually started within the Trump administration in 2019, I think. I'm looking at the chart right now. So, and it's called the EBE, the generation. I can't see it right now, but what is it? The something beyond entry Social Security Administration. So they're pretty much saying that within 2021 through 2025, that 5 million. This is Elon Musk's chart. That 5 million immigrants have came into the U.S. non-citizens at that with Social Security numbers. Now, what I read is that these people still can come in with Social Security numbers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're allowed to vote or necessarily allowed to receive benefits. So, um, an immigrant with a Social Security number usually is for work related. So, if you are a non-citizen, like say from Mexico, that's because that's initially, I mean, that's simply what we're talking about, like the Mexican border. So when they come in, they say, they seek asylum or whatnot, and then they say, I want to work, but you're a non-citizen. So they say, okay, you can work, you can come in the country, you can work, but when you're working, we have to identify you and we have to put this label on you, which is the Social Security number.
Mhm.
Now that we give you the Social Security number, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are a U.S. citizen and you can vote. So no non-U.S. citizen can vote, but a non-U.S. citizen can have a Social Security number and work in the United States. So then that begs the question, like, oh, are these people coming into the country and still illegally voting? And then and I'll send you the articles and I'll send you their resources. And I will say this, bro, like I said, I'm conservative. Like I'm right. I'm on the right. The only news outlet that didn't have resources in their articles was Fox News. And that's not necessarily a surprise, but still though,
Right.
that's a shame. So um what I'm saying? That being said, I feel like that puts a damper on, like, nobody's above being wrong. Elon Musk is a smart, brilliant guy, but everybody I feel like has some type of political bias that puts them in a way to where they want to purport what they believe. And obviously Elon Musk is on Trump's side. And obviously whoever you want to name, Cornel West or Breonna Joy Gray or whoever left leaning are on more on the left side, and they're gonna fight against the opposition. But the main thing is that when it comes to this report exactly, like I'm trying to figure out what exactly is the actual evidence, the actual factual news, because both sides have no issue with lying or anything. I've been taking a lot of time,
Right.
but y'all can go ahead. Y'all can go ahead. I'm sorry. I've been like I probably been going for like 5-10 minutes. But go ahead. My bad.
Okay, so the rebuttal that I think back in the 80s when Reagan was president, Reagan gave amnesty to because we had the same issue. The border
Yeah.
has been an issue really for a while now. So back in the 80s, Reagan gave amnesty to citizens that came over illegally or whatnot. A lot of them in California. So essentially, making it a one party state, right, in Cali. Also, we know that I'm starting to see more states, and this is the problem for me with people on the left, right? We're starting to see more and more people coming to the country, and they're pushing for no voter ID laws. So there's no reason for you to have, it just doesn't make logical sense. No reason to have, to push some type of law that you can't show ID, and they're arguing that showing an ID is racist, or it's some form of prejudice, or some some form of anything, anything in a negative connotation. So that's my biggest rebuttal, and that's why I tell people, like, why are they pushing, why are they pushing this, this stuff? They trying to do it in New York, in California. They did it in California. It's illegal to ask people in California for ID when you go vote. So, and I think New York Supreme Court just stop that from going through in New York State. So that's my thing. But it kind of just triggered something in my mind. Why are they pushing so many people, across the border? One, because they get they're in it with the cartels, because the cartels is over here making money and now labeled a terrorist organization. And so the cartels are getting people to come over, and then also on top of that, with the group of people that are coming from the Canadian border as well too. So I think you don't have a strong country unless you don't if you don't have a strong border. That's just my argument. And do I think it's racist? No. Do I think it's prejudice in any type of way? Because you have to know where these people coming from. And to state the cloud pivot strategy, essentially, let me pull it up, is essentially you take a form of government, or you take a some sort of problem, you overwhelm the system with that problem. So in this case, illegal immigration, or having illegal people come to the United States, you overwhelm it, and then you get to do whatever you want. You get to break down the system and redefine the system as you want it. And so I think that's something for the Democrats that they can keep continuing to push, and to push lawlessness, and to push this stuff that is like, come on now, like it just doesn't make sense. Like why, that's why I compare it to somebody being in your home or whatever, and you don't know where they came from. You get what I'm saying? So just I can't connect the dots of saying, hey, why are these people here, or why are we allowing these people here, and is there some room for a form of ruling? I mean, some rule willingness to cheat the system. And that's why I feel like Trump is maybe onto something with the numbers that Elon received from a whistleblower inside of Social Security, the Social Security numbers. And that's all I want to bring up is skepticism, because like I said always in the text, I'm skeptical. For somebody who works for me or whatnot, the federal government, as a citizen, I'm not just going to take your word as law. Yeah, we have checks and balances, but in some form or fashion, there has to be some way of finessing the system the way that the Democrats have. The Democrats are much more cunning and much more, I think, devious, much more than Republicans as a whole. Well, but I will say this though. I want to caveat it with this. I think a lot of people on the right as well too are establishment as well. I don't want to excuse them, because I don't want to seem like I'm partisan by no means, but I just think that from where my beliefs and where it aligns with myself, I would say I am more conservative or more right leaning, of course.
I mean, it's hard for me. Well,
I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with just listening to both points, and I understand both. I want to make sure that I'm kind of like following along here. But like with KP's point, with guys, trying to understand how the Social Security come into effect when it comes to voting, and with folks that's coming in illegally and illegally. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. And so then we just trying to gain more. I mean, I'm trying to make sure I'm following along, but like kind of like what KP was also saying, basically, kind of like how did you even offer an idea in terms of like a way to kind to fix the problem, or were you just basically trying to understand the problem?
Who's this question for?
KP.
Okay.
As far as that, okay. I heard the question, but you said as far as to fix what problem? You talking about the immigration problem?
Right. Were you trying to offering a solution, or were you just basically trying to understand kind of what the problem is? I know you talked about it, but
I was responding specifically about what Elon Musk presented in his rally in Wisconsin after I read up on it, and out, like I said, what is actually going on with the situation. I don't want to pretend like as if I know exactly what's going on. Like from what I was seeing and hearing and reading and before the election was that the border was out of control. But I'm not finna pretend like I know exactly how, why, that,
Oh yeah,
prior to it
I
happening.
mean, it's no known secret. Kind of like misinformation is
Yeah,
prevalent. It's like a
right.
real problem.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, so I don't want, because I mean what I learned is that you think unnecessarily that it's a party problem, that these things go back. These things are so, I feel like a lot of this stuff is so complicated. So I'm always usually hesitant to place the blame on any party. But if one party is responding in a way contemporarily, in a way that is lax, and it's like or is being purported to me that in a way that it's laxed, like I'm talking about the Democratic Party. If it's being purported to me that, oh, they really ain't doing nothing, like they really just letting any motherfucker. I mean, I'm sorry, any but anybody in, then it's like, what you mean exactly? Like, bro, that's what I mean by what you just said, because anybody can relate to what you just said. Anybody can relate. Anybody, you come to my house, who are you? What is exactly? But my question is that exactly what's been going on, or is that exactly what? Because Republicans and et cetera, the conservative types, or on the right, purport that, but is that because, like, bro, I learned a long time ago when I became more politically aware in 2016. Sides will lie to. Uh, Now that doesn't mean all of them lie. There's some great, bro. There's some great journalists. There's some great that just do objective news, and they put they stuff out. But some people will misinform you, will read and give it to you, and then you be fighting the wrong. At the end of the day, you fighting the wrong cause. So I just always want to know objectively, factually, what's going on. So after I'm gonna just go ahead and put forth, like, actually, after reading what I read about what Elon Musk rally is, it's like, damn, okay, Elon, or am I being lied to you right now about the fiscal year 2021, 2022, 23, 20? Because they put up, it's so, and it's so, I feel like it's so necessarily do it on purpose, though. I don't think they do it on purpose. I think this is just, they're so right, right,
You're breaking up for a second.
red.
Repeat that.
No, I was just saying, I don't think they do it on purpose. I don't think all of them do it on purpose. I don't think Elon, personally, I don't think Elon does it on purpose. But I think they have these red colored glasses on, or they have the blue colored glasses on, and it distorts how they see the news or purport the news or whatever. But so like I'm wondering. I haven't came to the conclusion yet, but I'm leaning towards the conclusion that what Elon Musk had purported during the Wisconsin rally. Again, I grant this. I grant that I did not watch the video, but I read about the video. So I would love, like, after whatever, I would love to go back and watch the video and see exactly. But what's been purported from Elon Musk, what he's insinuating, is that 5 million people are coming in illegally with social security numbers and are voting.
And so this is my
I don't know.
rebuttal.
I don't know necessarily that's true, but go ahead.
But this is my rebuttal to that, bro. You can see the evidence in the biggest cities where they support, sanctuary cities. So Chicago has been overrun. Denver, Colorado had a problem with it, and mostly pretty much liberal states. New York City had a problem. A lot of major cities are harboring, illegal immigrants, and, well, not, illegal aliens, I want to say. I think that's a proper term, a better term for it. But illegal aliens, and they're pushing these people, into LA, like all this stuff. Like, bro, whenever you get off your, your break or whatnot from social and all that stuff, like go back and look at some. I'll send them to you, bro. Go back and look at some of these videos and where these people are going to. They're going to a lot of major cities, and the major cities already maybe left leaning.
No,
And that's why I say the cloud of pivot strategy is so pivotal, because the major cities are the first ones to go, and then they spread elsewhere and they're putting them in swing states. So now if they start pushing in the swing states or whatnot, and they turn those swing states eventually blue, and then that's when it's a wrap. It's game, set, match. You don't have a way to even vote conservative anymore, simply because of what is going on, and they're overwhelming the system. And so when you overwhelm the system, you make it a much broader problem. And once you make it a broader problem, you can't run anymore. That's why England is falling the way that it is. The UK, they have such a big radical, Muslim problem, because they're letting these people in, and they're overwhelming the system. And now, the people who are native to that land, they are
no longer the majority. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But so basically, I guess you're saying the left is basically promoting, or even in some cases even kind of aiding a lot of this, overwhelming amount of immigration, because in their agenda it benefits them, because when you have more of the population more left leaning, then it can help them kind of push their agenda forward in terms of legislation and so forth.
Correct. You have to think from a globalist point of view. A lot of the establishment politicians, left or the right, they're globalists. They're not nationalists. Nationalists meaning you support your country, you take care of your set. It's like your gang. Like we all got our own football teams. Me and Nick, right? Duval till we die. We ain't gonna jump into no other gang, no other territory. This is what we are. We Duval County. So we don't care about nobody else, right? And and they're pushing it, and they're pushing it for us to care about about everybody else before we take care of ourselves. It's foolish. I'm gonna paraphrase this Bible verse or whatnot, but Christ says, why do I need to worry about somebody else when I got a plank in my own eye? That don't make sense. It's better to take care of yourself first, then I can expand to the world. That's the opposite of the globalist point of view.
So let me segue now, since we bring up the term globalism.
Let me respond to that real quick before you segue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, KP.
I understand that is the assertion. Like, I understand that is the assertion that putting these people into these democratic locations so that they can vote blue, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm trying to understand, like, what I'll ask y'all personally. What is, we know y'all will agree both sides lie. What is the factual, like, I'm asking, like, concretely, like, what statistics or analysis that says that these people are actually going into these cities and actually, because I don't know if can we in the 2020 election or whatever?
You said what now?
The 2020 election.
What about it?
Like it being rigged or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I
so
even more now. Yeah.
Right. So what is the analysis or the statistical data? Hold on. Like, what is being purported by Elon? Like, I understand that Elon must put this chart up, but I'm saying, like, and actually, and I do want to debate about this. Actually, but what analysis says that in 2020, these same were enough. That they, like, you. So Biden won the popular vote. I read a couple of days ago after you had sent that stuff to me. I was reading, trying to prepare for this. That he won it by 7 million. So now that doesn't mean necessarily that he needed 7 million to win or whatever, or I don't know how I'm trying to say that, but anyway, how do we know, what is your statistical analysis or data to know that that around 7 million or less to give him the edge to win? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I think that I think the data is going to be slower to catch up. So, and data
It's
doesn't,
confirmed yet. Okay, I got you.
right. So the data is not going to catch up yet. And let's say, uh, whatever's going on with China right now, right? Trump takes a stance on. I'm just using this as an example. Trump takes a stance as being very, saying, "Hey, China's been ripping us off for years, whatever, blah blah blah." And now that we see, we kind of pull back the veil with the tariffs and see how much they've been tariffing us, opposed to how much you tariff them. Yeah, you can kind of see like the data, and so now it's slowly being pulled back. And that's why I say I'm skeptical, simply because of the media. Now let's say take COVID, right? COVID, we all feel like COVID was a sham. Well, for me, I think personally, COVID was a sham, and it was a way to kind of push, push this crazy drug onto everybody. And now that we see, at first they were telling us, oh well, give us 2 weeks, and then it moved to take the shot or whatever, and then you'll you won't get sick and whatnot. Now the data kind of slowly creeped out, and we saw, just because you got the shot doesn't mean you won't get COVID, right? So now the data is always slow to catch up, and that's my thing. Like, this is still a relatively new topic. Like, yeah, just because the Biden administration had 4 years, but they're going to release any information to damn their, to pretty much damn their point of view and the position that they're taking. And that's something for me, I'm kind of very weary of, and I don't want. What do you want, son? Huh? All right, come in. And that's something I've always been wanting. He's fine. He's something. You want to say hello?
Hello.
What's up, Royal Rumble? What's going on?
Yeah,
man?
you got our new WWE champion right here. But I think that's something that is going to be slow to catch up. But now it's going to.
Hello.
Hey, stop! I'm talking. That's going to be something that. Stop, son. Can you stop, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Daddy's trying to make a point. You're making me lose my train of thought. Something that's going to be. Something that's going to be slow to catch up, and then eventually we're going to get to the point to where there's actually going to be a thing. So that's why I say be skeptical right now that we have the data, but let's say 5-10 years from now, it's going to get to the point to where, like, oh, hey, okay, I'm about to send you back in the room with your mama.
No.
Okay.
I would even go forth to that. And I do want to push out on this. I do want to push out on, for whoever believes like the 2020 shit was. My bad, damn. The 2020 election was rigged. So like, I feel like what Elon Musk, I mean, from what I've seen, and I'll send you the links on everything that I read and whatever. But from what I've seen, he didn't even purport that. And it even gets worse. Like, even if you look at the statistical data that he presented with the graph, you see that there's a trend. So it's 5 million within 5 years, 5 fiscal years. So you see the trend from 2021. There's like, I can't remember, it's like 250,000. 2022, it increases. 2023, it increases significantly. 2024, it looks like it's projected to increase significantly with the Social Security numbers for non-citizens. Mind you, again, just because you're a non-citizen and you have a Social Security card doesn't mean that you can vote. But being that the case, you see a trend going upwards. So that would mean that in 2020, that the 250,000 in 2021, it would be lower. So 250,000 immigrants in 2021. Prior to that, 2020, it that number would be lower in 2020, lower in 2019, lower in 2018. So if the maximized amount in 2021 is 250,000, that means it's even lower between the years of 2016 and 2020. So if you combine those years, and you just say, oh, all those guys, every single one of those people, which is very far-fetched, but we'll go with it. Every single one of those people from 2016 to 2020, if you add them up, it will only 1 million. So if you add them up and you just say, like I said, it's far-fetched, but you say all 1 million with those social security numbers voted, then for Joe Biden, it still wouldn't be enough to say that overthrow Trump during that election. So I honestly, now I'll wrap up with this, and then we can segue, like Neek said. Like, I mean, and you can respond. My bad. I mean, sure, my bad.
No, you good, bro. We just talking.
Yeah. So I mean, and then we say whatever. But I'll say this at the end, that I believe that ultimately, again, I don't want to be attacked because I am a conservative, bro. I am, and I'm not a liberal. I ain't close to being liberal.
I think you're.
Hold on. Let me finish real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I ain't even close to being. I wouldn't say I'm not close to being, but I'm not progressive at all, bro. I can't. I honestly can't stand progressives. Like, but and then, but anyway, I feel like Trump lies, bro. Like, he's not gonna take no L's. Like, he's a guy. I appreciate like the masculine energy that he presents and that he like extorts. I feel like we need that in our country, but I feel like we need that from a guy who's also an upright stand-up person. I feel like men don't lie. Men stand on their 10 toes. If they say they wrong, they wrong. They say they right, they right. They stand by business or whatever. I feel like Trump lies. So if Trump says his shit rigged, he's gonna be like it's rigged or whatever.
But
yeah.
So this is the point. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No. I was only just basically trying to align with what KP was saying, pretty much about his ideas. Meaning, like, he's saying that he's a conservative at heart, but it seems like I said, he will have like progressive ideals, but he's conservative by nature. I mean,
right. I think black people are naturally all conservative.
Bro, I mean, let me just stick in right here. I don't even have progressive ideas, man. Like, I'm so serious, bro. Like, I'm trying to pinpoint what type of, like, y'all don't know Glenn Lowry. I don't think, like, really. I sent him like a couple of videos like to y'all before, like text messages. Like, I'm like slightly right. Like, if y'all ever find out who Glenn Lowry is, like, I'm like slightly right of Glenn Lowry. You know what I'm saying? but I'm like not even like I'm not even any, like, I feel like, I mean, I don't know like what y'all think about, because political sides or whatever, because I feel like every label has a different opinion depending on who you talk to. Like, every conservative ain't the same, depending upon who you talk to. Every progressive ain't the same depending upon who you talk to. But I would just say that if y'all ever find out who Glenn Lowry is, I'm right of him, and I am not even close. Now, I listen to these because I want to know what I feel like if you listen to progressives, you listen to people far on the far left. If you listen to people far right, I listen to anybody. You see my YouTube feed. It's YouTube feed. 2 months ago, it's like full of everybody. Like, I listen to everybody because I want to know what the perspective is.
You want to have a perspective.
Exactly.
Right.
Even though I'm conservative.
Right. So it's good to listen to people on the left, their arguments, to see how to kind of counteract or rebuttal against them. That's fine. That's fair.
But my bad. But like man, like I said, I'm gonna push you on this. I'm gonna push y'all on this. So what is it? Because it seems like y'all taking the affirmative. Like, this is actually what's going on. This is what's going on. Legal immigrants are coming in. The world order. I know Elon Musk says this, But like I said, Elon Musk could have the red colored glasses on. Like I used to be like on that other side, and I used to just believe whatever anything the other side says. But when I found out that shit wasn't true, I was like, okay, no more of that, no more. So like, what definitively you'd be like, he's absolutely 100% correct. That's all of it. But so what?
I think just from looking and talking to people, I think meeting people from different countries is great source of like a way to kind of peep to see, all right, kind of pull back the veil how good we have it here, right? And to start there, right? To start at the baseline of how good we have it here and how we are able to kind of transform, government or the style of it into how our generation wants to see it, right? So I feel like now we're the people in, going to make the most of the decisions for, because the boomers are going out, and I think it was whatever the generation is after that. I can't remember. Is it X? I don't know. And so now we're starting to see, because as a whole, I think our generation is skeptical. And so now we're starting to see the way that we're transforming it into the way that we want. But to address your statement, I think that talking to people, looking at what's happening on the ground, on the ground level, and looking at that as a qualified source of discussion or topic as we address illegal immigration. And the statistics may not be here to back it up yet, but if you talk to enough people and you see, like, I watch border videos all day long, and I'm very intrigued with the topic and understanding how the cartel makes money off of this stuff and transporting people from country to country. I think for me, I gotta believe my eyes. I can't, and I feel like that's what the news or anything that is blocked, like, they try to filter everything on Twitter or whatever, and now that Elon has bought Twitter and allowed everybody to have this point of view and have this openness to open discussion, and to see, like, all right, well, this is what actually is happening on the ground, depending on what you look at or whatnot, and it forms an algorithm for you. It's starting to make the picture clearer, because everybody has a cell phone now. And so, yeah, the data may not be there to back it up yet, but I think I feel like it's unwise to not look at what you're seeing firsthand. And we know this is a problem, and we don't, it may be it's a very complex problem, but and then now we look at the outcome, how we have border crossings are the lowest it's ever been, since the Biden administration. Yeah, like it's an issue. Go ahead, Nick. I'm done.
No, you good, bro. So, I mean, I think everybody pretty much they made their views on the topic of how they feel about either party side. But KP, I'm gonna ask you this first, and then I kind of want you to follow up with the time, man. But leading up, I know this really been a really hot topic. I mean, this created a lot of controversy and they got the newsreels going crazy now. But with the announcement of these tariffs, right? I mean, this sparked a whole lot of debate for both sides, right? We got folks who feel like it's a dumb idea. We got folks who feel like this is a brilliant idea. Then we got folks who just in the middle, just like, I just don't understand. So starting with you, KP, kind of like, first, I know you said you've been off social media, but have you been paying attention with Liberation Day and what's been going on?
Mm-hmm. I still read news articles and stuff like that. Yeah.
I know you've been checking your portfolio, and I know you ain't very happy.
Just broke up. Then I heard portfolio. That was it.
I said, I know you've been checking your portfolio.
Right. Not at all. but
But go ahead. Like, I want you to kind of begin to start that, because this really like been like kind of the cream of the crop of discussions like we've been waiting to have. But like, what are your views on everything that's been going on?
So the main thing is, of course, immediately or immediately. Now, of course, things are terrible. As far as, I mean, as it relates to the stock market and everything, of course, it's terrible. But I mean, I believe that you have to be a Trump loyalist when it comes to these type of things. I don't believe that I have to say that, hey man, just believe in him and you get it, and he gonna get it right. Just keep pushing him, keep saying, like, I believe in being simply objective when it comes to politicians. Like, I don't believe that I have to be loyal to anybody but my family and my friends. I don't believe I have to be loyal to anybody but God. But when it comes especially to strangers or politicians or anybody who I believe is of a service to me, or who not only are a service to me, but they are presenting as if they will be. They're pitching a offer. They're pitching an idea so that I can vote for them, so that I can be behind them, that they are in service of me. So until they produce that service, or produce, and I'm talking about Trump or the Trump administration, until they produce that economic uh, projection where everybody's wealthy, or whatever that is trying to accomplish, pretty much um, a where you know better or whatever. Until then I'm gonna be not only skeptical, but I'm gonna hold you. Of course, like, I can't touch Trump or whatever, but I'm gonna hold you as much accountable as I can until you produce the results. I have no reason to no reason. I have absolutely no reason to, when somebody confronts me and say, um, you need to back Trump, like, for, like, I don't understand. I don't understand for what. I don't understand, like, what exactly am I should be on the front lines backing Trump for? What is that going to do? I don't necessarily believe that's going to do anything. I'll wait until he accomplished something, and then I'll say, he said he was going to do these tariffs. He said that this was going to bring more economic opportunity for our country. I'm backing that man because he had a plan that was way against the grain. That man plan was way against the grain. He um, did something that nobody else was for. Everybody was shouting him down. Everybody was saying, don't do that. Even Republicans who stated that they were on his side once election came. But after that, they said, nah, this is dumb. We might want to repeal this, et cetera, et cetera. If that shit worked, then I'm behind that man. But other than that, if it don't display the results that I want to see, then
Okay, so I think we're at a point to where in this country, well, I think in general, so we need to support our leaders. God, I think God has appointed, leaders for a reason. Do I think Trump is perfect by any means? No. Do I think he's a uh, possibly a saved man or anything that of those realms? No. But what I say that Trump is willing to do the dirty work that naturally a lot of people won't do. Yes. And going back to to middle of America and pretty much bringing those jobs back that left, like people's livelihoods were pretty much stripped away from them. If you don't have some form of stable economy in those places. So let's say middle of America, Iowa or whatever, like you know a lot of those or Detroit. A lot of these places have been stripped of their livelihoods, and they had to go elsewhere, or they had to find another way to make money. And I think that's wrong.
You talking about when during the Industrial Revolution, when all of the factory jobs begin to get
Right, bro. Like going.
I mean, literally
Correct.
turned
Correct.
the entire civilization into a ghost land.
Goes like bro, like go to even you look at Detroit, bro. Detroit was pretty much destitute, like nothing there until recently, and it's starting to revitalize somewhat. But I think it's just unfair to those people. Thankfully we live in Florida where you can, but even places in Florida, like they have little to nothing, and so to take job in industrial jobs and ship them over to China simply because we want cheaper goods or whatever, and this breeds another problem, with China paying people little to nothing, and it's slave like work, and people are dying, jumping and killing themselves and committing, suicide, and these companies in China are, all right, well, just find another person and throw them in there. Like, that's unfair. That's unfair to those people. So now you start and it's natural for companies to want to do that, to take that money. Like, all right, well, hey, it's more expensive to make goods over here in the United States. Well, now we're just going to go to China and make everything for the cheap and fatten their pockets or whatnot. But what about the American citizen? So the American citizen struggles. We struggle. We got to rob Peter to pay Paul over here. But the people who are wealthy, the people on Wall Street, and this is why I say, like, the people on Wall Street all have backed the Democratic candidate the last pretty much the last 3-4 cycles or whatever. Because I think even Trump got a little bit of no backing from Wall Street, outside of certain people, but as a whole, they want to keep their pockets looking good. And so now we have the actual regular everyday citizen versus what people on Wall Street, and we're colliding now. But Trump is backing with the regular person, and that's what I like about Trump. Trump is willing to say things that, even though he may have been with the establishment at one point in time, he's willing to go against the grain for me and you and regular people. And that's my biggest thing. A man with a backbone. Did President Obama have a backbone? No. He lit up the White House and LGBT, all that stuff, the rainbow color, pretty much just bastardizing what God intended the rainbow to be. And now that we have a bigger problem with that, and that's a completely different story. But just the backbone, the masculinity, like how you said, Nick, earlier, the willingness to come out and say certain stuff. And that's why I rock with Trump. That's why I like the fact that he is willing to go against the grain, and these tariffs are going against the grain. And yes, it's going to suck in the meantime or whatnot, yes, but is it going to get us? It's like Robitussin. It's going to get us to the point to where we're in a better state. We've been operating in this one state for so long, and then now you got to transfer to another state or do whatever. Like, yes, that's going to be better for us in the long run, but it's going to suck. It's like working out, going to the gym. You go to the gym, you can't live, and you can't just go straight to 225. No, you got to work your way up. So I think, in the meantime, it's going to be hard. Yeah, people are, we discussed previously. Nick said it's going to make people be more financially responsible to know, hey, I can't afford this. I'm not going to put this money. I'm not going to put this stuff on credit. Prices are higher anyway. So keep going down that that rabbit hole. Like, it's going to be a way. It's going to be a way to financial prosperity eventually. But right now, it's going to be painful. And if you're just judging by the stock market, for me, I don't look at it, because I'm all long-term investment anyway. I'm not playing the options game or anything like that. I'm buying and I'm holding for long-term. So
I just gotta say this a little bit. I mean, literally, this guy's entire campaign, this guy I'm referring to is Trump. He literally started and finished with terrorists. We kind of knew this was coming.
Yeah.
So for us to be surprised or act surprised about it, I mean, to me, it's just hilarious.
It's pretty comical.
I was gonna say, like, what I and is that everyone has reasons for why they're doing stuff. Like, everybody plan until they get punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson said. But
can't hear you, bro.
Oh, you can hear me?
You hear me now? Yeah, you can hear me now. Yeah.
So did you hear anything I said?
Nah, yeah, you gotta repeat it.
My bad. I'll just start over.
Yeah.
So I was saying like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Okay, so I feel like uh and as the Democratic Party, like it's not that they're some incompetent, or I mean I'm not gonna say incompetent, but they're not putting forth an agenda or a plan to make people more economically prosperous. But the thing is, for me at least, is that is it going to work? I mean, I have no reason plan is going to work. Now you might say that it was needed, but what I'm saying is that we don't know that this won't cause a recession, a Great Depression. We don't know that this won't put us into economic prosperity. I'm saying this is a wait and see. This is a very, I mean, I would say that this is a very controversial approach toward economic freedom or whatever. But I don't see what the issue is with wait and see. Like, okay, yes, like Meek said, like, yeah, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen when he was saying this tariffs prior to election. But um, ask you, after 3 years, after what or what Neek's expectation is, what would your current opinion of him be? Like, is it still like I'm gonna ride or die with him, or is it like this is well, I guess the better question is, at what point do you say, hey, this what he did doesn't work, it actually put us in a worse spot than it is? I'm not saying that it will be, but not continue that skeptical approach towards him. But my question is, like, at what point would you say, like, 4 years, there's stagnation, etc.? Are you saying, oh, this doesn't work, or are we waiting 10 years, 20? Like, you know what I'm saying? But good.
But the point still remains is like how my
Said,
cousin just put up a comment. But it said, what were the Democrats doing? What are they doing to fight this problem? They're still shipping jobs over to other countries. That's the main issue. When people aren't, people aren't don't have a plan, and they don't have access to certain things. So like, let's say like when people come back from the military or whatever, like you see a homeless veteran, like why are they homeless? Like, the effectiveness, the efficiency of government to allow these people to go out, they go, to protect our country, protect our freedoms or whatever. And then they come back home and they just, all right, well, you just get this and you get, benefits or whatever. And you kind of, so that's the kind of, not to use that example, that's the kind of the sickness and what's been going on for so long. And so,
but I feel
and
like it comes back to, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, my bad, but I'm sorry. Um, I always wonder, is that the case? Because I feel like job growth still grows year after year, depending on, I mean, not no matter what who the president is, like job growth keeps continuing. So saying that the jobs, I know you know about Sour or Soul.
Korea, South Korea.
So he's like a economic
Oh
he's
yeah,
like
yeah, Thomas. Oh yeah.
yeah, Thomas Sowell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's saying he says, like, there's always trade-offs. So just because um, something and then you put more attention on something else, there's always a trade-off. There's like a balance. So like when a boat go if you want to what part of the boat goes up, then you know I don't know, I'm making a good analogy, but another boat goes down. But it's like a tip, like you're balancing. It's never like, oh, if we do this, then everybody's gonna be great. Everybody, it's like something's gonna be lackluster if we do this thing. So so my main point is like, how do we know that like, since job and opportunity, like, it grows every single year, how do we know that it is the case that increasing under Republican or Democratic situation? I know that's asserted by the news that we see, or that tend to watch or whatever, but is that actually the case? Because I feel like, I'm gonna just say this, I feel like that the watch, they tend to say that, oh yeah, this shit goes up every year. Like, it's nothing necessarily. Now that doesn't mean that there's no problems. That doesn't mean that the Democrats don't have problems or issues with immigration, etc., or Republicans don't have problems. But they're saying when it comes to job growth and et cetera, like this stuff, like, people get jobs every year. There's no like no difference between parties on job growth.
Well, but this is my rebuttal though. Like, if we were actually, we're achieving job growth every year. Just imagine what we would be if we manufactured stuff here and then took care of our people first. So let's prime example with USAID, shipping money to different countries, for causes that most Americans wouldn't want to deal with, right? I mean, wouldn't approve of. And so that's kind of the thing. Like, if we do this or whatnot, will this be lower? I think yes and no, but I think we can kind of do both at the same time if you prioritize. If you have like a structured plan to keep our tax dollars, and this is why I feel like Doge is so important, because if you keep our tax dollars here, and we have a leader, in the president, and have Congress who is in alignment with that president to say, all right, we want to do this, or they got to slash certain stuff or whatnot to say, all right, well, we like this, but we don't want to approve this. Do the willingness of the people, and that's why I feel like, majority of I think 80% of our wealth is, 80% of our wealth is owned by 10% of the population. Majority of the wealth. So if we know that or whatnot, that proves only certain people are actually getting rich. Not saying that you can't get rich or here in America or have a prosperous life or anything like that, but the odds are not in your favor if you're born into poverty and you stay in a certain type of environment to where it's not equal, or it's not. I'm not saying that you got to have a quality of outcome, but that be able to access that and whatnot, and to tap into certain places that you can't get to naturally if they're just withholding all the wealth, in one certain specific realm.
Is like, responding to what she's just saying though, like, I don't think that changes with more jobs coming here. I mean, just because more jobs coming here, that doesn't balance out the billionaires from the working people. It's not going to be the same. Like,
you need billionaires though. You need, because they create jobs.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm not saying you don't. I'm responding to what you're saying. Like, you're saying you said that 1% has more of the money or whatnot. Problem with that, or are you saying that was a good thing? Or, I mean, it sounded like you said that was a bad thing. And I was responding by saying that I don't believe that that's going to change with bringing more jobs here. I think the billionaires will still continue to be rich. But my main question is that if you bring jobs here, do things become at a minimum wage here? And I know that's like usually topic more conservative economists. But if you bring more jobs here, do prices go up because we have a minimum wage and people desire to be age when they're producing certain materials? Do costs of things go up?
Of course. Of course, and that's the pain that Trump is talking about. I'm sorry that I interrupted, but that's the
It's a short-term pain.
Right, that's a short-term problem. But if prices go up or not, then you got to pay people more. So naturally, there's going to be that balancing act or whatnot. So you don't have so inflation just doesn't go sky. If you just print all this money like how we did in COVID and this goes through the roof, and knowing that, hey, do not come out here screaming. Stop. Go back in the room or sit down. Okay, sit down. But now that we know what's going on and we know the problem, and if we know how to access it and tap into those certain problems, I think that is going to be beneficial to us. So knowing that, eventually, there's going to be certain hiccups, like creating jobs, and a lot of people agree. Would they trade off, higher prices or whatnot for actually making stuff in America and having a job? Yes. I think that's a proven fact. Now, if you ask a lot of people,
You're saying people prefer,
because you'll have that means job security. So if you have a good, let's say this hat was made in America, right? So let's say we make 1,000. I make 1,000 of these hats every single day, but I need 5 employees to do it, right? And so I need somebody to box up the hats. I need somebody to print the labels. I need somebody to kind of keep inventory, do all this stuff, right? So if we know if I have 5 jobs that I can create, and I need these 5 jobs to keep these people employed, but on the back end, prices of this hat, the price of this hat is going to be higher. It will be in their best interest to be like, all right, well, hey, I'll just pay the higher price, but hey, I got a job on the back end. Like if that makes sense. So you don't want to put yourself out of employment by shipping everything over to another country where you get paid 20 cents on the dollar. Like it just doesn't make sense.
but I feel like I depended upon if wages go up. So minimum wage of $7 an hour and and that remains, and then prices go up, then all of what you're saying still becomes unaffordable to minimum wage or I'm not saying I'm not saying that this is going to be the case. I'm just saying that I remain waiting. I mean, again, like the main point that I'm just trying to make, that I'm just like wait and see, and say like I have to be like doing we need to do, like I would never pretend like I know like exactly how this political stuff works or how business works or whatever. I have like a little novice understanding of it all, but like I said though, like I don't understand why I have to back this solution. I just can be a wait and see guy and be like, okay, that actually works.
But no, and that's
historically,
right.
like if you say historically, if you whatever that points to where this actually, like, oh yeah, this will work. Because would you consider getting rid of the minimum wage? Because
what I consider Trump getting rid of minimum.
Yes, like because Thomas Sowell, I believe he's a proponent. Him and Milton Friedman. Or like I think Thomas Sowell is like a student of Milton Friedman or something like that, and then they are proponents. And I hope I didn't get that wrong, but I think they're proponents of getting rid of the minimum wage. So saying that not necessarily the same thing as China, where you're talking about slave labor, but the idea is that just to give them, and not to strawman them, steelman the argument, is that like people like us, like kids who are eligible to work, they start off small, they get paid less than what minimum wage is now, and then they work their way up. They gather experience, and then they start to pretty much they're saying that you can
I can't hear you, bro. You kind of going like in and out a little bit. Like you sound really low. No, no, I can't. I still can't hear you, bro. Okay. Like yeah, but you still sound low though, bro.
go ahead. You can just talk.
Okay.
You,
Yeah.
you can just,
But do I think that you should get paid according to your skill level? Yes, yes. I think that's a something the meritocracy that that we should all we should benefit from. Like meritocracy is what makes this country. Like honestly, like without merit, like regardless of race and all this other stuff, because at the end of the day, I think that matters. No, I just think about skill level. Like I don't care what even if you're a Satanist in your own time or whatnot. But what I if I actually knew that, I'm using the extreme. But if you did the job well and you practice out in your own spare time or whatever, you have that right in America. So I don't know. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So let me actually you say you are for getting rid of like the minimum wage instead of.
I think you should get paid according to that skill. Like if you only advance to, let's say McDonald's, right? You're a fry cook, whatever. So let's say with my job, it's a certain type of SPL level, right? So we have subject matter experts that come in and say, hey, this is the amount of skill level that we want these people to have. So you want to have the best fry cook ever. So the subject matter experts say, hey, we want an SPL level 2. SPL level 2 meaning like intermediate, like somewhere you're not a master fry cook, but you're not a novice. So you're somewhere in the middle, right? So if you only advance to that middle level skill or whatnot, you don't proceed. Like you get paid according to that skill level that you have.
Mm-hmm. So you saying like
I think that's fair.
Right. So I just want to be clear. So you saying the minimum wage level right now is like $7.63.
Right.
If somebody is working based on metrics or whatever is
Correct.
is working below that skill level that they can get paid like $3.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that progressives or liberals or whatever would say no, that's that's terrible, or that's hell no, like that's absolutely crazy. Like all
Which is
Americans
fine.
paid $10 minimum wage and you know what I'm saying?
But which is fine though. But my thing is, all right, how do you incentivize people to not stay at the bottom level, right? So throughout our lifetimes, let's say me and you, right, we both worked at the latch, and we started as techs, right? When you start working your way up, you take on more responsibility over time, and so that incentivizes people to kind of keep working and to keep you know it keep that same work ethic that got you that job, got you that spot at whatever job that they're at. But at the end of the day, you still have to develop your skill level, and you have to show some form of grasp of the content or grasp of the job, whatever skill that whatever skill level that it needs. So I think just incentivizing people to understand that, hey, we have a certain way to count up the data or whatever on the front end. And then if you stay at this level or whatnot, and there's no progression, this is what the outcome is going to be at in the long term. And I think that's fair.
Well, I think I mean, I know that the progressive, and liberal side would say, and I know people would say, well, shit, they progressive and liberals don't know shit, but come on, I mean, they do know. They,
right.
You can take good advice from. I mean, anybody has good advice, no matter what, and they're not stupid or whatever. You can take conservatives, liberals, no matter who it is. But they would say that the metric to judge a person's livelihood based on ways isn't necessarily a science that you can configure and say this person deserves $1.50 an hour only. And until he proves to me that he deserves $2.50, he's gonna stay $1.50. So they would probably argue that the metric to say that you should stay at a certain wage or whatever is arbitrary, and that what stops a owner of a major company? What stops his greed from saying that I don't want to pay the motherfucker? We don't have a minimum wage, and I don't want to pay those low income workers $1.50 an hour. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to pay them above $1.50 an hour. I just want to pay them so I can continue to rack in the profit that I'm getting. So, and I understand that. Now, I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm novice, bro. I do not know this. Like, I won't pretend like I know. I would not pretend. But just listening to that, I'm like, that makes sense. Now, that doesn't mean that the rebuttal on the conservative side doesn't have a point either. But I just want to know, at the end of the day, who's right in all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, how would you respond to that? I don't necessarily like to think like people hate, some people like progressives and leftists, they hate fucking billionaires. They hate them to their core.
Right. It's always tax the rich.
Billionaires.
Right.
It's just like just because they're billionaires. Like, no, they have good ideas. They make people's lives better. But at the same time, everybody's human. So how do we know that a billionaire always has the lower income people, their best interest in mind? Like, nothing's stopping. Like, I don't believe this. Now, I'll say this is me personally. I don't believe something stopping a billionaire from saying, like, I want to pay him above $1.50, or these coworkers above $1.50 an hour. They're gonna get paid $45 an hour because I want them to. Like, I don't necessarily believe. There's no incentive for me to believe unless the owner is thinking of like some type of uprising or something like that from the little people, or not to say little people, you know what I'm saying. But from them, but to think that they have to just automatically think that these billionaires or whatever have the little man's or whatever best interest in mind. I think it's
I see your point. But do I think, because billionaires are always going to finesse a way, because even now you see it like with the whole AI craze, right? Like instead of paying people, instead of paying people, they're going to pay a robot, because a robot don't take PTO. Exactly. Robot don't need
don't need food, don't need housing.
Right. So the entrepreneur is always going to find a way around the system or whatnot to kind of finesse it and get rid of certain employees if they don't have to. If they don't have to pay them, if they don't have to hire them on. So, but that's the risk that the entrepreneur takes. But without the entrepreneur creating jobs or whatnot, then you got to rely on the government. So if the government steps in, we already know how the government works. It's going to be ran shoddy anyway. That's why I always use the post office. I've never been to a post office that has been good quality service, that has been like amazing. They all ran poorly. They all look like they're just stuck in 1900s. They got one or two employees at the clerk. As clerks working up front, and then, whoever knows like where they at now. So like, to kind of get back to your point, like there's always going to be a way around the system for entrepreneurs, but you still got to rely on them, because they're the one that create the jobs, essentially. Yeah. So it's a fine line that we got to walk, but and do I think that people should get paid a fair wage minimum. Yes, but do I think it's advantageous for all people to be able to work and go continue to succeed and do whatever they need to do to kind of live a free and prosperous life? No, because nothing is given to you. You got to go out here and earn it.
Right. And I believe, I absolutely.
I believe we believe in meritocracy.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe in that system. But I think on
Right.
both ends, on both ends, on both ultimate ends, you get oligarchy, and then on the other end, you get socialism or communism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know
And for me, I would rather have even.
You really have an oligarchy? No, I mean,
somewhat, because you're always going to, because the Bible says you're always going to have the rich and the poor. You're always going to have it. So no matter what or whatnot, business has to be done. Are people going to be naturally greedy? Yes. You're never going to stop people from being greedy. You see regular people be greedy all the time. It never changes. You can have one guy that's always, for me, something that's I buy sneakers, right? So that's always been a thing. Like, it's kind of always been something for me.
But I think both are. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but at the end of the day or whatnot, you still need those entry level positions or whatnot, or I mean, for those oligarchs that control and take on the duty or the task of creating for others, because everybody shouldn't be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Like I said, I never want to pretend like I know everything, but I tend to agree with you on that. I think both are horrible positions to be in, but I would probably tend to be more on the
right. So it's like you see what communism turned out to be. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela's horrible. Like nothing. The currency isn't worth anything.
You look at the Soviet Union. You look at
bro. Like your citizens suffer.
You look at Cambodia and
that's why I tell people all the time. Talk to somebody from another country that came from a communist country, and they and they will tell you clear socialism, communism does not work. Doesn't work. We live in the most free country ever and whatnot, and people want to complain about what I ain't got, bro. All right, if that's the case, go to a socialist country. You see how you like it. So want to transfer to our last topic. We've been on that one for a while. And my wife is trying to kick me out the door too. But how we were talking about, the whole abortion thing, right? We were discussing that, how Mike Pence is no abortion, anything like that, right? I think, my position, when I'm looking at voting and I'm voting for a candidate, and there's only two people, that have the position that they possibly can win. And no matter. Okay, I'm talking right now. Thank you. With that cutting here. But you only have in America, you only have two parties that can win. So the Democrat or the Republican, and I chose a Republican simply because for me, that's why I draw the line at. Do I take the position of Trump as saying, hey, rape, incest, or life of the mother? No, I would not. And those are because I feel like every single life should be protected, no matter what. Everybody deserves to live. Close the door, son. Thank you. Every child deserves to live and possibly have a prosperous life and a future. So just knowing that, and knowing Mike Pence's situation, how I brought up the whole Ukraine thing, like for me, unnecessary war is something that is something that I don't necessarily, agree with the whole Ukraine, because it's a war that Ukraine can't win. They're not going to win it. So why do we keep funding it? And so that's why, you were saying that if Pence is, no abortion at all, would that actually be, if I'm butchering your point or your stance or whatnot, just let me know. But if he's no abortion, and then I'm for that same point too, but Trump is the candidate, who do you advise me to vote for? At the end of the day, do I vote for the person that's no abortion? I mean, do I vote for the person that's for rampant abortion on the left, like Kamala, or do I vote for Trump's position that with the three conditions that he stated?
Right. So yeah, that's an argument for like the lesser evil argument. It's like if I have a guy, if I have two presidents, and then they say, hey, when I enter office, I'm going to administer 10 concentration camps for 5 million people, and then another president says, and then the president that's running against that person says, I'm only going to administer 5 million concentration camps for uh, uh, 5 million people or whatever I said. And most people are going to say, shit, if I got to do my vote, I'm going to vote for the 5 million because that's less than the 10 million. And that's the lesser evil dilemma or whatever. And I personally necessarily don't think that you have to, and that's more of a philosophical discussion probably, that's like more deeper, but I necessarily wouldn't say that I would vote for either. If there's a third party option that most people say has no chance of winning, and they say they are voting for freedom for everybody, I'm voting for the person. I'm gonna vote for the person that says freedom for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but I think so. In that case, so I mean, in that case, between me and you, that's the difference. That's the difference of philosophy, and we would have to go down a philosophical train to get down to the root.
Correct.
But that's a discussion for another day. But in my opinion on that matter, I would say that you had an option in you just said that you had an option only between Republican and Democrat.
Yeah, because I'm no party affiliated. I'm no party. I'm NPA. So I look at it like, all right, once I get to the primary, I decide. I mean, not the primary, the presidential election or whatever election. I decide who I want to vote for at that time. I don't, and by that point, I've had, and this is the advantage of it. I feel like the people have been weeded out or whatnot. The all the riffraff has kind of went away, and now I get to see that candidate, stand on their own or whatnot, and realize, all right, this is how they want to proceed, with the country, and I think that's an advantage for me, just strictly because of what has been going on and the stark contrast of candidates for so long now. So now that Trump is taking a hold of the Republican Party, and we're seeing that he's kind of transforming it into the working people's party now, opposed to the Democrats. Democrats are kind of like the old oligarch, kind of keeping the same thing going or whatnot, and there's no transformation, and it's going further and further left. It's tending to more of the outlier stances, and the outlier stances with the 1%, with the whole transgender movement and all that stuff. Like, these are outlier positions. This is less than less than 1%, a few years ago of the country. Now everybody, a lot of children now want to be trans and all this other stuff, but that's a different conversation. So now we start to see, and I feel like that's the great advantage that I have. And it just allows me to see that candidate and understand their stances. And so, like, when Trump and Kamala were debating, and he kept saying that, and the Democrats want to keep pushing, but Trump doesn't want you to have an abortion. Trump doesn't want you to have an abortion or whatnot, which is true, but which is true to an extent, but still he has that caveat for those three points, those three stances, but still it's nowhere near as bad as where what position and what stances the left is taking. And so I'm thinking about it from a perspective of how I was raised, how would God want me to approach this situation, and to see that what aligns the best. And I'm not picking out a pastor. I'm not picking out anything of of godly proportions. But I will say that this is the best chance that I got, and I feel like I stand by that, and it helps, and it doesn't muddy the water. It doesn't, and I walk away with a clear conscience because it makes it very clear to me, that God says that shedding of innocent blood is wrong, and so majority of the abortions that take place in America, are optional. They're just strictly like, all right, well, I just don't want a kid right now. And you can look up the statistics and see it for yourself. And plus all the other implications, that Margaret Sanger had. She was a eugenicist. She was a very evil person. And she didn't want black people to live. So that's my thing. Like, why are these people, pushing this, especially on the black people? Because black women have the most abortions. So how can I sit here and support that?
Right. Like I said, it depends on who you get your information from. I think there's a lot of assertions being made by both parties, and then both assertions make sense, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're true. So if the Democratic Party pushes a narrative about the Republican Party that makes sense, that doesn't mean necessarily that is true. So I won't necessarily do the same thing for Republicans reporting things about the Democrats, who I am more against, but I absolutely believe in being fair. But like I said, and to respectfully push you on this as well, like you said that, abortion is, you see, you draw the line in the text message. You said you draw the line at people who, or I'm sorry, I'll let you state it. You say you draw the line where?
I draw the line at abortion. That's a non-negotiable for me.
All right, so you draw the line at abortion. Like, it's factual that Trump is pro-abortion. Now, like, I understand absolutely your argument. There's stipulations that Trump is for that are a lesser degree of abortions than Kamala, Joe Biden, etc. Well, I don't know Joe Biden. I would be fair. I don't know Joe Biden's stance on how late you can get an abortion, but you said, I'm just going off of what you said. You said Kamala is for late term abortions. So I'll take it at face value. I didn't look that up or anything like that. But so if she's for that, I understand that you think that being worse than Trump being early abortion. But the thing is that I believe that there is no difference. I'll just say that frankly. I believe there is no difference. I don't think that, being a fellow believer as yourself, like, I don't believe that there's a difference, and there's no moral difference between killing a 3-year-old from a 50-year-old. I don't believe there's no moral difference between killing a 7-week-old versus a 5-month-old. So for Trump to be pro-abortion, regardless of where he believes that it's okay for a woman to get an abortion, I don't think matters at all. Morally, like I said. Now we can talk about utilitarian or whatever, but morally, I'm saying I don't. And I think, like I said, I think even biblically or throughout, even church fathers from 2,000 years ago, all of that at no point is whatever week it is abortion morally okay.
Correct.
So I think, but
but that's my thing. I don't support it at any time though. That's my biggest thing. I want to preface it. Like, I don't support shedding of innocent blood at all. I don't want it. I don't want that blood on my hands. I don't want that thought in my mind at all, because I feel like children are, me and I blessed with 2 kids. Children
so why wouldn't you put like, I understand the winning part, but if like I said, if pro-abortion is your number, I mean, I don't know if it's your number one, but it's high up there for you.
Right.
If that's your stance, then why not? And this does delves back, and I don't want to get caught in the weeds about this, but this does delves back in the philosophical issue. But why wouldn't you? And I know you said he probably didn't have a good chance of winning, but why wouldn't he?
He never did.
I do want to say this. You did say that. I mean, and you can change your position. Nobody's held to stuff that they held weeks. What? I think it's more accountable weeks ago, but months, years ago. But you did say that you would still vote for Trump, even though, even if Pence had a great shot to win or whatever. But
That's why I disagree, bro. This is why I disagree.
yeah.
Because I think at the end of the day, it's about.
But let me finish so I
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I
Go
can
ahead.
wrap it up. But
Yeah.
but why wouldn't you vote? And if that's the case, then why wouldn't you vote for Pence if he's? I was looking up stuff. So Pence 2023 said, I don't give a damn if it's an unviable pregnancy, He said, I still am anti-abortion. So
Yeah.
he's clearly pro-abortion. He's clearly on what you think. He's clearly of the mindset that you think about it. So why wouldn't you vote for him? Go ahead.
Well, because he was never presented to an option as me, and that I feel like that's never that goes back to the
that's fair as hell, bro. That's
right. It goes back to the advantage. So it weeds the people out or whatnot for me, because like it's too many people to pay attention to during our whole primary process. Because you got by like 10 some candidates, especially for this last one. Like we already knew, like how we were talking, like 2 or 3 years ago when I was telling you, like DeSantis doesn't stand a chance, like against Trump.
Right.
Like nobody, because Trump has too much of the clout. He has too much of the too much of the wherewithal. He has the juice right now. So with knowing that knowing that Trump is pretty much the option for the Republican Party as a whole, how can you fault people who are who are believers that voted for Trump, even though he holds that stance. And so and when it's clearly opposite, even if it's like even if it's three within like those three cases or whatnot, it's clearly opposite of what the Democratic Party offers. And so that's why I say, like, God is not one to sit here and to be mocked and to be to be pretty much to be trifled with, with shedding of innocent blood. So that's why I'm like, all right, as a conscious, that's why it makes so much sense in my mind consciously, because at the end of the day, how can I push myself to vote for the total other opposite end of the spectrum?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't believe that God is looking at, hey, they are for aborting an 8-month-old. They are for aborting a 1-week-old. The 8-month-old is more egregious than the one. I don't think. Like, I mean, and that's
I think it's egregious. I think it's egregious either way. Either way.
Right, but okay. So being that
we agree on that.
Yeah, being that you state that, then now, like I said in the text message, I understand if you begrudgingly vote for Trump. I understand that you saying like, okay, it's a lesser evil. Like, I know you're not saying that per se, but it's a lesser evil thing. It sounds like that's what you're saying philosophically. It's a lesser evil thing. This person is more for this than that. So I'ma just, man, I don't fuck with this dude, but because he's for pro-abortion, but I'ma just vote for him anyway. Now, I think it's safe to say this. Like, I mean, you can say like, nah, that's not true, bro. But I'll say you're a staunch like Trump advocate, even though that he's like, you know what I'm saying, pro.
Yeah, because
you say you're against. Yeah.
Right. But that's my thing though. Like, so as a country, we're ruled by the majority, or whereby how many electoral votes you can earn, right? So yeah, I may be a staunch Trump supporter, but do I support everything that he does? No. Do I? For me, like with the whole how he has the faith office, right? And he has a lady leading out in front, the female Paula White. He's wrong with that. He's wrong. It's clearly wrong. It's clearly alternative to what the Bible says, right? It says the woman should learn in silence, or sit in silence, or whatever. Bro. I'm just paraphrasing. So at this point, at what are we willing to to retort or condemn certain things that Trump, the position that Trump has taken, and do I think is fair? At sometimes, yes, because the man can get out of pocket. Yeah, do I say he's he said I should I'm gonna bomb the shit out of Iran or whatever, like, excuse my language, but I'm just stating what he said. But nonetheless, like, I think it's wrong to go out and say that. Yeah, but do I think he has a point? With the whole terrorism thing and how they begin out of but and my whole point is Trump is not he is a like someone like me in a sense, right? How you always say like, bro, why did you say that at that time? Like he's very abrasive. He's willing to say stuff that certain people won't say, and that's the thing that like kind of
I would judge you on a different level versus
right. But but it's kind of it. I see some of those things as I'm saying just as people, because at some point you have to stand up and have a backbone. And my thing is, he's willing to at least go and say, "Hey, this is what I believe in. This is what I believe is right." And so, kind of bringing it back to the whole, abortion thing. Like, yeah, the majority of the country picked Trump. So am I supposed to, not fall in line, especially when he agrees with a lot of positions that I agree with? Yes. Do I agree with every position? No.
Are you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you have to?
No, of
Like,
course
can
not.
you
But
vote? I'm saying, asking like, what do you believe? Like, do you like if you have two people and the thought is that it's either him or her or him or whatever, do you have to? Are you obligated to vote? Are you obligated to vote for either or? And if not, then
yo,
why would you vote for either
What's
or?
good, everybody?
what's
It's
up,
the
bro?
other half of the teaspoon of wisdom. And, with the baby half, you know what I'm saying?
You messing up the conversation right now. Mute yourself, bro. Go ahead, KB. My bad. Go ahead.
Hey, West Side. I remember you from Appalachia. How you doing, man? You good, bro? All right. Well, go ahead. Oh, my bad.
Now finish your point, bro.
Man, I lost train of thought, to be honest.
Oh man, it's
But
all
you can go
good.
ahead.
It's all good.
What I was saying? Damn. Shit, I forgot. My bad. Go ahead.
Well, I just think that people are conversations like these are very complex, right? And it's very multi-layered and multifaceted. So to kind of peel back the layer and understanding that we are people, and at the end of the day, it's easy to sit here and say that it's low-hanging fruit to say like, if I don't agree with this person or whatnot on this one thing, then I can't agree with them anything else. Like, no, like
Right.
that's not how America is. America should be a place to where one can agree and disagree and have conversation how we're doing or whatnot, and possibly settling differences and be like, all right, bro, like at the end of the day, I may not agree with you on that, but I'm gonna respect you as a person and to be able to reach across the aisle and still make a deal. And that's the point of it. And I think that's what Trump is still willing to do now, even though he may be abrasive at time or whatever, but still to reach across the aisle, like, hey, bro, I'm still gonna need you to vote for blah blah blah, whatever bill that's going on, and his willingness to do that. And I've seen that several times, but people have Trump derangement syndrome. It's like, oh, and start foaming out in their mouth just because it's Trump. Like, yeah, Trump isn't a perfect man by no means, but he's still willing to do some of the dirty work that politicians have not been willing to do previously, and that's all I'm saying.
And I would, I don't like being brash. If you haven't noticed, like I don't. But anyway, I feel like that there's no criticism on, like, to be frank, I don't feel like there's enough criticism when he does things like that on that side. Like when he does something good, then on your side specifically, like it's like you'll post that or whatever. But when it's like questionable, it's like what y'all like how y'all. It's not even like a what y'all think about this. Do y'all have mixed reviews on this? It's like it's only positive things. And I think it's important to be well balanced on issues. Like I said,
Right.
I don't feel like we should be loyal to any politicians until I have absolutely no issue with being loyal to a politician who consistently produces results that benefits the people. If a nigga has a track record of fucking, my bad for cussing, but if a dude has a track record of being consistent and making people wealthy, making the lower class better, et cetera, then and you be like, I'm with that guy, he do that. then I'm like, okay, yeah, exactly, that's legitimate. But when a guy such as himself, you know, is doing what he's doing currently, I think it's no reason to just jump the gun and say I'm backing him no matter what, because he's doing something. He has a plan. Therefore, I'm backing him.
Yeah,
nah, I can wait if I want to, nigga.
of
I
course.
can wait till he do something.
Right, and
You
you
know what I'm
got that
saying?
right.
So wait, hold on. I got a question. I got a
Yeah,
question
go ahead.
for you,
Yeah,
KP. So that's that's the same with a lot of us. Like, just let's say left leaning black folks, they jump on the bandwagon of anybody who
mm-hmm,
is, I guess, leaning that liberal side or whatever. So
mm-hmm,
they have their back no matter what, no matter if they're wrong about lifestyle issues, no matter if they're wrong about just the basic necessities, what's weird and what's not. We it's funny because we back everything that is wrong with our society, but all of a sudden, what I'm saying, we have someone that want to, stand tall, stay firm on issues and try to make money a little bit better. Oh, we can't stand with that guy. I mean, that's my pushback.
Yeah, because black people will do that to you, bro. Like I feel like being somebody who's black who supports Trump or even remotely conservative ideas, they will literally throw the book at you and be like, oh well, he a coon or he a Uncle Tom. Like you throw all those and when ultimately that black people are naturally conservative anyway. We don't get down on a lot of this stuff. Or I've had it to where like people say I still can't vote for Trump or I like what like does the Trump derangement syndrome just have a spell on people to the point to where you know it's just like crippling, you know? Like and for me, I've always been one to go against the grain anyway because you even just finna just lead me down, just wherever. And I feel like we've experienced that, certain parts in our relationship. Um, and it'll be times where like, all right, bro, I just can't go that way, and we just separate and just do whatever, and that's okay. But my thing is like people will look at you and try to demonize you and make you just such a bad person just because you're naturally
mm-hmm.
conservative, and I feel like that's unfair.
Yeah, I think that's terrible. So I think that's terrible. I think anybody who has, and I think that's natural. I feel like a lot of stuff we talk about is human nature. Like I feel like a lot of stuff that
Tribal,
is against the grain. Can you hear me?
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. A lot of stuff that's against the grain, like once you go against a certain grain that is against the community, then they say, "What the hell you doing?" They start to, act up. They start to, like you say, they dislabel you, and that's absolutely wrong. But I think there's a pendulum swing when people get treated like that. When people that go against the grain get treated by the people that they used to be with, then they say, "Oh, y'all treat me like this," and then they overcorrect and go too far to whether it be the right or the left.
But that's
When
what's happening now, though. That's what's
exactly,
happening.
I believe personally, I believe that's the incorrect way to go. So I feel like when you need to be reasonable enough to where when your side is disowning you, that you don't just say, okay, I'm gonna just go side with this side because these people are disowning me, so I'm gonna just go side with them because we all hate the people that just disown me. It's like, no, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to re-examine everything. I'm going to see who the fuck telling the truth. I'm on the side of
Truth,
truth.
right,
I'm
right.
on the side of virtues. I'm on the side of building the community. I'm on the side of whatever we can do to get black people out of whatever poverty-stricken situation that they are in, or whatever. I don't even, whoever has the best ideas to who has the best ideas to get us out of whatever poverty-stricken situation or terrible situation that we're in. I'm on that side with stipulations. I don't believe that we should do anything to get us out of these situations. I believe that you still have to have self-respect and dignity as a community to get us out of that situation. I don't believe that you sell your soul per se, per se, sell your soul to get out of any situation. I believe that you do whatever you can do in a dignified manner, no matter how long it takes to get yourself, whether it be like building schools, building banks, building a cultural foundation that everybody abides by, that produces a um, that produces a culture or a way of being that everybody abides by, that offers prosperity for everybody and respect for everybody. So, um, so
But
yes.
that's not what's happening though. Like people like the video that I posted on my Instagram today,
Hmm.
and it was a lady who was discussing abortion, one for abortion, one against it, and the one that was for abortion, she slapped the lady in her face, leaving her with blood all over her face and stitches. They having to get stitches. So this is what I'm saying. The it's going further and further apart, slowly but surely, and it's like a frog, like the frog in the pot analogy. You turn up the heat slowly, and then now that the pot is when the pot starts boiling, and we realize, oh, we're in trouble now, and that's the part that we at. And so now
So
we're trying to
I blame
swing
the
the
media.
pendulum back right to get it corrected. And this is what we're going through. This is why we're going through these growing pains, because of all this stuff that was racial stuff that's being pushed, or racial
Hmm.
or ideology that's incorrect, things that are just opposite of God's standards, until you can live in peace amongst men. But still, God still tells us or whatnot that you're going to be tested no matter what you're going through, if you stand on my truth. And so for people like me, you, and Westside or whatnot, even though we may stand on business, we still stand on God's word and what it says or whatnot. We're still going to be tested at the end of the day, and that's the point. It's not about who. I don't think it's about ultimately who is being prosperous lifestyle, because everything's going to come to a halt. It's going to be hard after a while, but ultimately we still got to stand up for what's right, and that's what people are realizing now. That's why we have a lot of men now who are right wing, simply because they've been told, hey, masculinity is wrong or
Exactly.
whatnot, being a man
Hmm.
is wrong, lifting weights, going out work. You're seen as a conspiracy theorist or something
Yeah.
crazy, just because, hey, you go to the gym and lift weights every day, or
Right.
you practice your mind, or you practice stoicism.
Exactly.
You don't respond emotionally and all that stuff. Right? This is
Right.
where it's going. And so I got to get
Um.
off in a few
But
minutes, but
And,
still.
okay.
and another thing, Spoon, like I don't mean to cut in, like I want to cut in, but I gotta get everybody to realize something. We let's just think about like just think about our image real quick. We as black men, we have been told for let's see, I say let's see, since 1960 something, so probably the past what's almost 70 years, we've been told to think and live and told that like the white man's ice is colder. We've been
Hmm.
told that for so long, and the thing is, a lot of us believe it. A lot of us believe it. But here's the thing: we have walked away from God. Black folks have walked away from God. The other day I was watching Cam Newton show, right? And Cam Newton had like some rapper on there that he used to like go to church or something or whatever. And he's like, man, I don't like church people because they don't really be out of the community like that. I'm like, you're a lie. You're an absolute liar. Church folks be out in the community. The thing is, you live in a place where the church is married. The black church it just being specific. We marry the government. We also not only that we married the government, we also decided, hey, you know what? We don't need God's word. We're gonna do social politics instead of, hey, let's share the gospel. Let's show love to one another. No, no, we don't want that anymore. So we are in this pseudo Marxism age of living, and we all think it's because it's the white man's fault, and it's not the white man's fault. not a white man's fault at all. It's us until we get back to being 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 that God is the standard and the word of God is the standard. We're never gonna get anywhere, and we're never gonna go anywhere. We're gonna do the same little two step.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think at at this point, I gotta go ahead and start wrapping this up. But like, it's I'm glad that our generation is kind of taking back really for what our parents' generation really kind of let things get out of control. And
No,
now
our
that's
parents'
what
generation didn't let things get out of control. Our parents' generation were they the generation before them decided to choose activism before choosing how to be like entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? That's what we chose. We didn't choose. They didn't choose to be entrepreneurs to where we have businesses today and our families are taken care of. No, they chose activism. And then in result, our parents got indoctrinated into a fantasy world where the white man ice is colder and the black man is always going to be behind. And the thing is, that's not true. That's not the case. So we need to get so we ourselves need to get into the real mind state of, hey, God's the standard.
Hmm.
And God said, and what God says about me is true, not what the world says about me. You know what I
facts.
mean? You know what I'm saying? So we need to get away from that. But that's all I got. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just crash in. Like
Nah,
I
bro. Nah,
man, I've been parenting all day, and this,
join the club, brother.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man, it's a
Uh,
blessing. I
How old
appreciate
your
y'all
little
for
one?
sure. Huh?
I was asking, West Side.
what- what's up, bro?
How old is your little one?
She is one,
Oh wow.
one
Just
and
turned one.
talking. Just turned one, but she's one and talking.
Buckle up for all the
That's
fun,
what's
bro.
up, man.
Trust me,
Yeah.
it's all downhill from here.
Oh, what,
Oh well, you got a little
bro,
girl, so let me stop because I ain't getting to
bro?
that stage yet. But yeah.
Your spoon, your niece, she does her own thing,
Bro,
man.
why she so glued to the teeth, bro? She need to blink. She
Bruh,
does.
we learning about colors right now, guys.
Yeah,
So we got
hey,
to use these colors.
Yeah.
that's love, bro. But
KP, you got kids, KP?
Oh yeah, man. I got three.
Three. All right. So,
Yeah, one on the way sometime this week or next week.
hey, that's a
oh
blessing.
man, congratulations, dude.
Yeah, I
A healthy and
appreciate it,
safe
bro.
delivery, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, let me go ahead and put a bow on this, man. I appreciate you, Westside, for jumping in. Neek as well, and KP, bro. We love y'all. We all praying for y'all
Shit, what
all
happened to
safety
Neat?
during that, during that birth this week. So, I'm praying that everything goes smoothly. And for you, Westside, bro, keep raising that baby, dog. Be the best that you can be, and everything. I feel like this is a good way of receiving edification. So, bro, KP, anytime that bro you want to hop on, man, you got time. You're more than welcome. I love hearing different perspectives. And even though we may agree and disagree, like at the end of the day, we still like owe each other respect as men. So there's always always love on this side. So anytime you willing to hop on, bro, just let me know, man. We can discuss it. So.
Oh yeah. How often y'all get on here?
Bro, I've been in and out, bro, because
Yeah, answer the question, bro. Yeah,
bro,
answer that
hey,
question.
I've been in and out. I'm not gonna say how long. I've been
Cause we can do everything live in studio, but we got
bro, chill, bro. I moved. I moved. I had people pass away, so like I just been kind of all over the place the last 4 or 5 months of my life. So it's been kind of chaotic, but I think now that we kind of get into a space and now it's going to be very beneficial for tax purposes. So now, so yeah, we gonna make it happen. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So yeah, man. Probably do this again sometime next week. So if y'all got time, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thank you for all of our fans out there. Whoever sees this, we pray for you. Hopefully you get some, good game from this. So we chopping up this man. So it's your boy Teaspoon. I'm out.
Connie Westside.
You gonna say something, KP?
KP, you gotta say.
You gotta say bye to the people, dog.
I don't have a channel, so.
Man, I don't care, bro. Just tell people who you are. You say Bub too with the Jay Uso. You gonna go yeet for WrestleMania, the WWE champion? I mean World Heavyweight champion. Yes. You gonna say yeet? Yeah. All right, bro. All right. So next time, catch y'all. Peace. Yeet.